Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about, does a narcissist regret losing the primary supply? You're the primary supply, so let's jump in. Pow, pow. All right, so does the narcissist miss losing the primary supply? What do you think? Of course they do. They do because you're their lifeline. You're the one that comforts and gives them advice, gives them wisdom, knowledge, understanding. You help them decipher all this confusion and chaos that's going on. As much as they love the chaos, they can't figure that out. They need some clarity. They need grounding. And that's what the primary supply does. That's one of the things. They also know that you carry the brunt of their burdens spiritually. This is a spiritual situation, and you can take it however you want. But the bottom line is, the narcissist discerns this. Over time, they discern this. They know. They know it's a spiritual issue. They just don't want to accept it because they know also what role they play and where they fit into this whole scenario. They're the evil one, and they don't want to admit it. They don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept the fact that they're evil, even though they know they are, and they can't help it because they're a lie. And they're a lie because they sacrifice their true self for the false self. There's nothing else to say. They don't feel love, and you sacrifice your true self for your false self. How do you even get anything upward spiritually? You can't. You're the reprobate that's spoken of in Romans 1 and 2 Timothy 3, period. The narcissist can't do right. They're inept. They're not only inept emotionally, they're inept spiritually. But this is the deal. I think a lot of people don't want to speak on this, but I think what truly happens, it may not come into its fruition until you're older in age, but it doesn't matter. The seed is whatever you are going to be. You have decided before you came here. It just hasn't culminated yet. But when it comes to the narcissist, they decided a long time ago. They decided early in childhood, this is what they were going to be. They chose their side. And their side was to experience lust quick, power and control, and they didn't give a damn what else came with it. They were willing to do it. And it's hard as an empath to try to understand a narcissist because they don't think like you. They're psychotic to you. And that's the problem. The problem is you're trying to figure out somebody who's psychotically demonic. That sold their soul. They gave up on truth for the false self, which means they're a lie all the time. And that makes them a destroyer always. Okay? And then they're out for lust, not love, period. And without love, what does it say in 1 Corinthians 13? You are nothing but noise. You're a sounding brass, tinkling cymbal, whatever you want to call it. Different translations will give you different meanings, but it's all the same answer. You're noise. That's basically what it's saying. Without love, you are noise, which means you're nothing but evil noise. You ain't good. You're just making noise. You're clamor. You're deception. You're manipulative. You're a backbiter, a liar, a cheater, a gaslighter. You're a devil. You're just like the devil spoken of all throughout the word. You're just the same bloodline, same seed line. And that's what you chose. And a lot of us, it doesn't matter what age you are because you chose your destiny's place before you were birthed. Everything occurs in the spirit realm before it ever happens in the physical. This was manifested when you were created before you were placed in your mother's womb. It doesn't matter the circumstance because an empath in the worst, abrupt, destructive circumstance is always going to choose to level up. They're always going to choose to be a lion, not a wolf in sheep's clothing. Period. That's why it doesn't make sense in psychology, because it's a spiritual issue. It's a psycho-spiritual issue, but at first is a spiritual issue. It becomes a psycho-spiritual issue. secondary to a spiritual issue. The empath, a true empath, they'll either be a lion, they'll step up to the plate, and they'll devour the evil one in the end. Or they will become a toxic enabler, which is to fail, or they may become a hermit to where they don't want to see anybody. And that's kind of a failure too. So the empath kind of, in my opinion, I'm going off the cuff with this, but I would say that's kind of along the lines of what you're going to find in an empath. You're going to have the lion, which is the victor. And then you're going to have a couple of failures, different types. The toxic enabler is the worst failure. You might as well be just like a narcissist or a Judas. That's an empath Judas, a toxic enabler who stays that way. You're feeding the devil. You're giving the devil energy, all of your energy, and your sovereignty. So you don't want to know them. And I've been that, so I'm not judging. But then you have the one that becomes a hermit. And that's okay, but it's kind of like riding a fence. Because you're not creating evil, you're not feeding it. You want to do good, but you're afraid. So you're not going to manifest anything. The manifestors are going to be the lions. What is Christ? The lion of the tribe of Judah. He was a Leo, baby. He took on what was in front of him. And he sized it up. And he dealt with it as it came for what it was worth. He treated it with the respect that it deserved. And if it didn't deserve his respect, he didn't give it to him. That's what a lion does. Christ was our perfect representative. If there's nobody you can relate to, you can always relate to Christ. Because he took the most brutal path. He walked not only the gravel road, not the highway to hell. He walked the gravel road, but the worst kind of gravel road. The one people don't take very often. And when they do, they will never size up to anywhere close to how he was. He's perfect. He's got the God-man in perfection. But we want to look to him and emulate his character as best we can, and it starts with love. He didn't feed no narcissists. The Pharisees were spiritual narcissists. He called them a brood of vipers, just like their father, the devil. And they were always out to sabotage him, to smear campaign on him, to character assassinate him, all that. To block his future, his path. To block his navigation from where he was going next. To steal his blessings. To get the people to go against him. To try to get the people to stone him, to crucify him, to devour him, to discredit him, to shadow ban him, to control his content that he was creating. This is what the narcissist does to you. The narcissist is just like a Pharisee in the Bible to Jesus. You want to represent truth and justice for all, period, with sovereignty, peace, by all means necessary. To listen much and speak little, to be as wise as a serpent, but as gentle as a dove. When you have an issue with somebody, you try to pull them aside and try to deal with it like that, between the two of you. But with a narcissist, these things don't work. That's why you have to not react, just respond. Address your issues once from the act of responding, not getting emotionally involved in it. As you heal, you're not going to show that side to them because it's not worth it. They're not privileged to that anymore. The only one privileged to seeing your emotions is somebody like your lover, your true counterpart, not the false twin flame. They don't love you. They were an imposter. I think the twin flame's just an imposter of what the true soulmate is. Don't chatter it up with people around you anymore. It's not worth it. because you've been dealing with this your whole life. When you get to dealing with this type of narcissist your whole life, they become familiar spirits in a whole nother way. And their workers of iniquity are all around you, and they become flying monkeys. They just want to get information, data mine, try to get you in trouble by having that chatter, that meaningless chatter, and that joking around turns real quick into something offensive. And I'm talking about more at work than anything, because they like to knock your foundations out, and it starts with your finances. And they do spell work. Anybody that is housing dark energy is going to be dealing in spell work. They're going to be witchcraft practitioners, whether you like it or not. The witchcraft practitioner. That's what the narcissist is. They want to throw their burdens upon you while they go out and trash the world. And God does not want to have you bear the brunt of their negative reaping or their karma. But the longer you continue to stay with them, he's forced to give it to the narcissist, but it's going to fall on you too, because you're in the web. Anything evil you're attached to in a friendship, a covenant, a contract, a consent, a love partner, or family outside of being cordial, you are involved in their web. And when you're in an agreement, when you're in a consent, when you're in a covenant, a contract, meaning a relationship, a situationship with a narcissist, you're in the middle of that web, right there with them. You're the generator to feed them, and they are the taker in the middle of that web. When they get hit with their karma or negative reaping, it hits right in the middle. And then it spreads out, and it hits all the flying monkeys that are connected, all their love partners, secondary, tertiary, all that. Family out here helping them out, agreeing with them, doing devious things with them. But you're in the middle. You're the generator feeding the parasite. So you get like 50% of it easy, because they're cloaked in your fuel, because they're always projecting on you. So they can burden you down with their negative reaping, and you receive it. You might get 80% of it, and they get 10, and everybody else gets 10. Who knows? It's something like that. You get more than them. And what they're doing is they're running from or staving off their negative reaping. They're running from their judgment that God has out for them. And when you allow them to cloak themselves in your fuel, your energy, they look like you in the spirit realm. They're running around wearing your fuel camouflaged, but you're wearing theirs. So you're going to get the brunt of their karma in the spirit realm. And that's because you're really in rebellion to God. If you're going to be in obedience to God, you're going to leave. You're going to run from the narcissist. You're going to run from the narcissist. You're not going to want anything to do with them, because you're already going to know God's plan in the whole situation. The whole plan in the situation is they're an evildoer, and they're a destroyer, and they're destroying every day, and they're nothing but a lie. Every word and every sentence and everything they represent is evil or a lie. It's a deception, a manipulation. It's a falsity and a fake. And you're backing that up. You're feeding that. That's your fault. The quicker you run from a narcissist, the more abundant you will be or become. The longer you stay with them, the longer and the quicker and the worse it will be for you. You'll become a failure. You will never amount to anything. You will lose everything. Your foundations, your health, your wealth. You won't know who you are. And you'll get addicted to them, and they'll be like your narc pipe. You'll be trying to get another hit of that narc validation, that breadcrumb. And it feels good, I'll tell you. It feels good, and it feels good when you're having intercourse or whatever, man. There's a different kind of energy from it. It's not good for you. It is a lustful addiction, and it will wreck you, and it will control you, and you will enable the enemy. And you'll get attachment as well. It won't be able to defeat you like it did the narcissist, but you'll get demonic attachment if you play with it long enough. And it's a hard road leaving a narcissist, because you don't want to leave the narcissist. The addiction that comes with it is hard to break. When you leave a narcissist, you have to decide to, and you have to fight it. because empath and a narcissist relationship is very energetic. A regular relationship might be the size of my finger that's corded up to each other, but when you're with a narcissist, it's the size of a cable, a big thick cable, and you're energetically connected in a way that is almost spiritual. And it's like they suck all your blessing. They don't have to be with you to suck the life out of you. And the rumination when you leave them may take you 2 years to get off of with no contact. It's rough. I've been through it. I've been through it several times. And each time it got worse because new levels bring new devils. And as you awaken to this, you awaken to how demonic it is. This is a spiritual issue. And they decided a long time ago they were never going to love again, or never love. They were out for whatever your destiny was. They were out for a different destiny than you. And they didn't give a damn about a almighty God. They really didn't. And they don't care. They just want their lustful desires filled, and they want to be a pompous, arrogant bitch. They're never going to think like you. They're opposite of you. Whenever you love them, they hate you. When you hate them, they love you. They're completely unequally yoked because it's not meant to be. It does feel good for a little while each time, but it will also destroy your soul a little bit each time as well. Thank you for watching. Until next time, Soul Joe. Peace be out.